A walk on the wild side in the Cardamom Mountains. Organised by the Ministry of Environment with support from the World Bank, it was part of the Cardamom Sustainable Landscape and Ecotourism project to promote ecotourism, small-scale investment and community-based ecotourism initiatives in the Cardamom Mountains-Tonle Sap basin. Invited tour operators and media delved deep into the Cardamom Mountains to visit a mix of existing and new destinations and attractions across the pristine and unexplored region. Leaving the Ministry of Environment building at the crack of dawn, we travelled to the long-established community-based ecotourism site of Chambok to meet the villagers and learn more about their activities. One group tried their hand at making kralan, or sticky rice, in bamboo before being greeted with a traditional dance from some young villagers. After a tasty lunch provided by community cooks, we inspected some local homestays before continuing to V.Kirirom National Park, our base for the night. We trekked to the breathtaking viewpoint of Timor Loy, where we were treated to a panoramic vista over the Elephant Mountains. We returned to camp at the V.Kirirom Pine Resort, who laid on a sumptuous welcome buffet for the group at their Pipe Room event space. The next morning the group visited Coconut School, an impressive local community NGO that has built a new school almost entirely from recycled materials such as plastic bottles, aluminium cans and rubber tyres. We met the school's inspirational founder and enjoyed a quick caffeine buzz courtesy of Rubbish Coffee. After a short presentation at the ranger station in V.Kirirom, we continued to Shinta Wild and Timor. The former is the most luxurious tented camp in Cambodia and one of the most iconic lodges in Southeast Asia. Our group was very privileged to be welcomed by the resort team, and more than half of us had the chance to zip line into the camp like paying guests. The group inspected the tents and facilities before continuing to Timor for a local lunch beside picturesque rapids. The journey continued to Chipat for an overnight stay in one of the most established community-based ecotourism projects in Cambodia. The heavens opened as we approached the ferry to the village, and the organising team had to initiate Plan B. No more camping at the local resort, as it was in danger of turning into Chipat Floating Lodge. Instead, the group ate at the community centre, while the organisers arranged comfortable guest house rooms at Fly Resorts and Cardamom Cottages. After breakfast in Chipat and a presentation from the Community-Based Ecotourism Committee and Wildlife Alliance team, the group continued to Cardamom Tented Camp, deep in Bottom Sakor National Park. Jumping into 4 small boats, we set off towards the lodge along a beautiful stretch of river. Arriving at this genuine eco-lodge, GM Alain Michon introduced the environmental credentials of the camp, and participants were free to explore the comfortable tents and camp facilities. The journey continued to Tatai, the embarkation point for a long river trip downstream to Peem Krasop mangrove forest, and the group made a short stop at Canvas and Orchids, the iconic floating hotel formerly known as Four Rivers Floating Lodge. The owners introduced the concept behind the property, and the group was able to visit both a floating tent and a larger room on land. The boat journey onto Peem Krasop was long, but it gave everyone a real insight into the size and scale of Southeast Asia's largest mangrove forest. This is a natural gem, protecting Cambodia's coastline from the threat of flooding and acting as the equivalent of a reef system and nursery for both freshwater and saltwater fish and crustaceans in this area. The trip ended at the otherworldly Peem Krasop Mangrove Visitors Centre, where we met some of the team involved in protecting this natural treasure. This is certainly one to mark down for a return visit to explore the mangrove walkway. We spent the night at Koh Kong 2000 Resort as a convenient base with a space to accommodate a large number of tents, and enjoyed an impressive seafood barbecue The next day we continued deep into the Cardamoms to visit remote Stung Areng community-based ecotourism centre. Established in 2016 with the support of Wildlife Alliance, this community sits in a beautiful area of mountains, rivers and rare wildlife. The community treated our group to one of the best homemade meals of the trip, and it was time for a group photo outside the Stung Areng Community Centre and the long journey home. There was time for one more stop on the way for Koh Kong at La Vallée, a new small-scale eco-lodge by the Tatai River. A beautiful house and impressive restaurant point to a positive future for this new destination. The trip was an incredible insight into the many diverse attractions of the Cardamom Mountains region. A huge thanks to the Ministry of Environment and World Bank teams for supporting the fam trip and organising the logistics for such a long and complicated venture. Remember, this is not the end of the journey, but just the beginning.